Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Axis Market Minute podcast. My name is Akshay Chinchalkar, and today is Wednesday, 5th February. US stocks ended a two-day loss streak as big tech rallied. The S&P 500 ended 0.7% higher. The Nasdaq 100 jumped 1.3%, and the Dow rose 0.3%. Both Canada and Mexico saw tariffs delayed by a month as the countries decided to take tougher measures to stop illegal immigration into the US and drug trafficking at the borders. Elsewhere, China imposed tariffs on US oil and agricultural equipment. In markets, the VIX slumped the most in a week. The dollar index dropped nearly 1% along with the 10-year treasury yield. Bitcoin sank over 5% as volatility spiked. Spot gold rose to a new record of $28.45 an ounce. And oil's plunge found buyers as President Trump signed off on ramping up economic pressures on Iran. At home, the rupee ended the day 0.1% higher at 87.08 on reduced trade wars related fears. Meanwhile, street expectations are for the rupee to continue to fall due to interest rate cuts and the RBI's currency management regime, with some forecasts predicting a drop to 89.5 by year end. Speaking stocks in the Nifty gapped up and left the initial volatility behind as it surged 1.6% to settle near a one-month high. That saw the India VIX dropping 0.34 points. The NSE 500 mid caps and small caps ended higher. 11 out of the 12 main NSE sectors rose, with PSU banks jumping 2.4% and FMCG, the sole loser, ending 0.3% down. The Bank Nifty gained nearly 2% in what was its best such day since November 25th. Breadth for the NSE 500 stocks flipped to strong positive, with over 70% of its members gaining. Shriram Finance was the biggest gainer on the Nifty, rising 5.6%, while Trent was the big drag, slumping 6.3%. Technically speaking, and as mentioned in yesterday's podcast, the Nifty gained and now sits at the falling trend line drawn from the record high, passing through the mid-December peak. Yesterday's low did not overlap the Monday high and therefore created what is called a bullish rising window, making 23,381 a key pivot that bulls will have to defend. Against this level, expect a test of the 23,918 to 24,060 area. That said, a close below 23,381 will weaken the bull case. In foreign flows, provisional data showed that foreigners pumped in over 800 crores into domestic equities. This means that a 23-day streak of outflows, the longest ever, has finally been broken. On to derivatives now, and the Nifty's put-call ratio rose to 1.16 from 0.89, while that of the Bank Nifty went from 0.79 to 0.91. More Nifty calls were liquidated than the addition in puts, and implied volatility rose slightly, which meant that on a net basis, at the end of yesterday's session, short call positions experienced forced liquidation. Looking at options concentration for the weekly contract that expires tomorrow, the trackable range has moved higher to 23,500 to 24,000, with significant additions seen at the 23,500, 23,600 and 23,700 put strikes, and liquidation seen at the 23,500, 23,600 and 24,000 call strikes. Meanwhile, volatility dropped across the curve compared to Monday, with demand for out-of-the-money puts dropping more than that for out-of-the-money calls. So the expectation for today is that the market will continue its advance. Positioning via net activity in index options showed that foreigners and prop traders were firmly bullish, while retail turned negative. Elsewhere, the net index futures positioning of foreigners stood at 153,000 contracts short, the least bearish positioning since December 22nd. Looking forward, the GIFT Nifty was up 80 points. Asian markets were in the green, but no standout gains were seen. HBL Power and Balrampur Chini were at horizontal support, while Brigade, BEML and Fortis were at horizontal resistance. JK Lakshmi was at trendline support, while Balkrishna Industries, Castrol and Birla Corp were at trendline resistance. Speaking key moving averages for the NSE 500, 20%, 17% and 26% of its members were above their 50, 100 and 200-day averages. HSBC manufacturing and services PMI numbers are due from India today, while trade balance and ADP employment numbers will be released from the US. That's a wrap on the day's podcast, and we will see you tomorrow at the same time. Have a nice day.
Investments in securities market are subject to market risks. Read all the related documents carefully before investing.